Every few years, people all over the world head to polling booths to cast their votes. They choose their leaders, their parties, and their dreams of a better tomorrow. We call this democracy, a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But while the world celebrates Election Day, another kind of election is happening every single day. It's silent, it's invisible, and it's far more powerful. This election doesn't happen in parliaments. It happens in markets. Because in our modern world, democracy decides who governs, but markets decide who survives. When politicians make promises, markets listen. When governments borrow, markets judge. And when confidence collapses, markets punish. This invisible force doesn't need tanks or ballots to rule. It rules through numbers that live inside government bonds, interest rates, and currency values. These numbers decide how much a nation can spend, how much its money is worth, and ultimately, how long its leaders can last. Once upon a time, power meant land and armies. Today, power means credit. A single downgrade in a country's credit rating can devastate its economy faster than any war. Because in the 21st century, money has become the real vote, and those who control it control the world. Back in 2010, the birthplace of democracy, Greece, discovered just how fragile that democracy could be. Its national debt had spiraled completely out of control. The people voted for relief and for hope, but the markets voted no. Bond yields soared, investors fled, and within weeks, the Greek government was on its knees, begging for help. Help did arrive from the IMF, the European Central Bank, and the European Commission, institutions that not a single Greek citizen had ever voted for. This rescue, however, came with severe conditions: slash government spending, raise taxes, and sell off national assets. Hospitals closed, pensions shrank, and unemployment exploded. At the ballot box, the people had chosen hope, but on the balance sheet, they got austerity. Democracy had spoken, but debt had the final word. After World War II, the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, was created to stabilize the world economy. But over time, it became the lender of last resort, the doctor that no nation ever wants to visit. Because every IMF bailout comes with conditions. You know the drill: cut subsidies, privatize assets, increase taxes. It's officially called structural adjustment, but to millions of people, it feels more like financial colonization. Across Latin America, Africa, and Asia, entire governments have been forced to obey, not their people, but their creditors. And above them all, another quiet empire rules: the empire of central banks. These bankers don't run for office. They don't wave flags. Yet with a single decision, they can shift trillions of dollars and change the fate of nations. When the Federal Reserve in Washington adjusts interest rates, families in Pakistan, Nigeria, and Brazil feel the tremor. Their currencies weaken, and their debts grow heavier. A decision made in one city can shake the entire planet. That's not a conspiracy theory, that's just monetary gravity. Politicians love to talk about freedom, sovereignty, and choice. But the hard truth is, most nations no longer control their own destiny through laws, they control it through interest rates. When a government overspends, markets demand higher returns on their loans. When investors lose faith, borrowing becomes incredibly expensive. And when borrowing becomes impossible, democracy becomes powerless. Because no matter who you vote for, every single policy has to answer one crucial question: what will the markets think? Just look at Argentina, a nation that has been living this story for decades. Every time its leaders promise prosperity, inflation roars back. Each time it tries to escape its creditors, the peso collapses. In 2022, inflation passed an astonishing 100, and yet new loans still poured in. Why? Because markets don't care who governs. They only care about who pays. This is the great paradox of modern democracy. Voters can change their governments, but they can't change interest rates. They can elect leaders, but they can't elect the bond markets. Behind every prime minister's speech, there's a quiet, nagging question: how much is this going to cost? And who is going to lend us the money? That single question shapes everything from healthcare and defense to even climate policy. It's not ideology that rules the world anymore, it's liquidity. When crises strike, governments borrow, and central banks, the guardians of the system, print new money to keep it all alive. That is how the world survived the financial crisis of 2008. It is how we survived 2020, and it is how we'll likely survive the next collapse. But every rescue comes with a cost: more debt, more promises, and more pressure on the future. Debt creates money. Money fuels power. And power serves debt. We like to believe that our nations are independent, but financially, the world is a single interconnected organism. The U.S. owes China. China owes its citizens. Europe owes its banks. Banks owe their depositors. And depositors owe their faith to this same fragile system. It's a massive loop of promises. Every IOU is backed by another IOU. And the only glue holding it all together is trust. Trust that governments won't default. Trust that markets won't panic. Trust that the money in your hand is actually worth more than the paper it is printed on. But trust is a fragile thing, because beneath all those numbers lies staggering inequality. Interest payments always flow upward from taxpayers to investors, from nations to massive funds, from the poor to the rich. The more debt grows, the more power concentrates at the very top. This isn't because of some secret conspiracy. It's just how the system is designed. Debt rewards ownership. Democracy rewards hope. And in the battle between money and hope, money usually wins. So who really runs the world? It's not kings. It's not presidents. It's not even the voters. It's the balance sheets and the powerful institutions that guard them. When markets lose confidence, governments fall. When banks lose liquidity, people lose their freedom. And when central banks print money as a salvation, inequality quietly rises. This isn't a debate about left versus right. It's about power without accountability. Because every promise a politician makes must be paid for, not with words, but with bonds. As long as debt defines our money, and money defines our power, the real question isn't who you vote for. It's who controls the credit behind your vote. Thanks for watching. If this video gave you a new perspective, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content that makes you think. See you next time.